There were a plethora, just a plethora of retro handhelds that came out this year. Some have viewed this as a negative thing. I have even poked fun at the fact that there are just so many of them, and sometimes they're just coming out week after week or a couple times a month. In reality, it is awesome. I mean, it is great to have options. All of these options that we have, I'd rather have the problem of trying to decide what to pick than not have this problem at all and not being able to play any of my favorite games portably in my pocket on the go with all of these awesome handhelds. 9-year-old me is really loving it. I'm just amazed that retro handhelds and gaming handhelds are a thing at this point. I did a ton of reviews on these devices. I obviously didn't get to review all of the devices. I'm not really sure who could do that because there are just so many. I made a list. My list consists of 5 different retro handhelds that I have reviewed over the course of 2024 and that I actually like and play. That's really the criteria, that I've reviewed them and I like them, and I think that these are my favorites of 2024. But before we get into the good stuff, let's just briefly go over the bad stuff, because there were a few mishaps, many mishaps, but a couple come to mind. First off, and I'm only going to list off 2. I could list off quite a few of them, but I don't want this to be a super negative review, but I just want to recap. This is the Anbernic RG28XX. While I want to like this device, I can't get over the rattling. It's so loud. This is the loudest device of 2024, in my opinion. I nicknamed this the Maraca, and not just because, Beetlejuice 2 came out and we all got to hear Harry Belafonte again. It's so loud. Everything on this handheld shakes. It makes noise. These buttons, look at the buttons in the D-pad. They're the tiniest things ever. I think this was made for a mouse. I'm pretty sure. It's little and tiny. Even my 8-year-old was kind of like, "Mom, what is this?" And I said, "I don't know, son. I'm not sure." I really wanted to like this. The big thing is, and I'll show you a close-up, my device, not only does it rattle, but it came with this amazing flaw that the overlay of the screen is just peeling off. And I know that's probably not something that's going to happen on all the rest of the handhelds, but I did want to point that out, and that's one of the reasons why this makes the list. The other one, I was so much not a big fan that I don't even have the device, so I'll just show this on the screen. This is the E6 Plus by Game MT. This device was just so bad that, like I said, I got rid of it. I generally keep my devices for a bit, but this one, well, it didn't make that cut. So the software was just half-baked. The whole idea of it was just half-baked. It was kind of just, half thought out, and I really wish they would have put in a little bit more effort and actually understood that, hey, if you got an Android device, maybe you want to have the Google Play Store to actually work. So, but what do I know? I'm, just being an Android user for a very long time. But yeah, even if you didn't use the Android portion of it, it wasn't working very well. The buttons were terrible. When you would press something in, you would end up, something else would register, or 2 buttons would register. The D-pad was doing the exact same thing. It was awful. It was awful. It was the first really bad device that I've reviewed, and I almost didn't even review it, but I had to. So with that being said, those are the two blemishes, at least in my mind, for 2024. You may have different opinions, but yeah, leave those in the comments below. Before we get to my top 5, I do have 2 runner-ups. These are actually both devices that I reviewed and did a couple tutorials early on in 2024 because they were really big with custom firmware. Everybody loved them, and they actually are some of my bigger views on my channel. I am talking about the Anbernic RG35XX8 and the TrimUI Smart Pro. So both of these I think are really great devices, even though this has a little bit of a rattle. But both of these are really great devices. This is a really good handheld from Anbernic, and you can probably, since it's been out for a good year now, I would say, you could probably find this pretty cheap. The same with the TrimUI Smart Pro. If you're a big fan of clicky buttons or semi-clicky buttons, and it's got some shallow D-pads or shallow shoulder buttons, but this giant 5-inch screen, definitely check it out. So don't sleep on either one of these devices. If you've been thinking about have something that maybe you can throw in your bag, or maybe this is your gateway into retro handhelds, both of these devices are pretty decent. All right, so now that we have all of that out of the way, we're gonna go backwards, and we're gonna start with my number 5 slot. Now, this is a device that I actually ended up really enjoying. It has the best D-pad that I feel like Anbernic has ever made. This is the Anbernic RG40XXV. And yes, I know you're looking at it going, does it have a joystick? But trust me, if you can get over that weird fact that maybe it's not symmetrical in the middle of the device, and that there's only one, you don't really need 2 because of the systems that it actually can play. This is a great device. I mean, I love that the screen is very, very nice. I love that there's no bezels. It kind of reminds me of the Miyoo Mini Plus. And the D-pad and the buttons are really, really good. The shoulder buttons are a little thunky, but still, it's got a great, I don't know what it is. It's got a great hand feel. I mean, I feel like because it's a little bit bigger, that's easier for people to hold. I'm not even a huge fan of vertical handhelds, but I really like this. And even after I was reviewing it, I was playing with this. That's really where all of this comes into play. I get a bunch of handhelds. I get a bunch of reviewing devices. If I end up testing them out and then afterwards, I'm still jamming on them a couple weeks afterwards, after I've done my review, that's pretty good. That means that I'm probably like it. So yeah, this is number 5. Number 4 is actually a device that I just did, if you follow the channel. So this is the Retroid Pocket 5. I'm putting it at the number 4 slot just because I haven't had a lot of time to test it out, and it's super new. I haven't put in as many hours as, say, the rest of the devices on this list. But this is a fantastic, from what I have seen, this is a fantastic device. It is a little more pricey. It's about around $220 US right now at the time of this video. It's probably going to be right around there. Retroid typically doesn't do any sort of sales unless you can get it, in a different place like AliExpress or something like that. It has an AMOLED screen. If you watch my first impressions video, I was able to play PS2, GameCube, and even some Switch games. And it didn't really even break a sweat. I didn't have to turn on performance mode. So take that with what you will. Finally, Retroid has come out with a different style, and it has ergonomic bumps on the back. So I'm excited, and I really like this. Plus, it's the GameCube colors, so I mean, it's awesome. All right, number 3. This is actually an incredibly niche device that if you know, you know. I mean, when I show this to you, when you see this and you go, what? Or if you go, oh my God, this is the greatest thing in the world. then again, like I said, you'll know if you are a candidate for this device. But this is the Anbernic RG Cube XX. Now there is a Cube, just the regular Cube device, but that is Android version. And I'm talking about the Linux-based version because this is the perfect Pico 8 machine. Also the perfect Game Boy machine, Game Boy Color, and arcade games. It's got a 1:1 aspect ratio screen, and I know that looks super goofy to some of you, but to the rest of us that maybe you absolutely love Pico 8, and maybe you have, because I post a lot about Pico 8 on here because I love Pico 8. It's just so fun and cool. This is like the ultimate Pico 8 machine because I'm a big fan of horizontal handhelds, and it's a horizontal handheld and it's got ergonomic bumps. I mean, look at those. It's so nice to grip. It's got some little textured grips on the end. The shoulder buttons aren't bad. You don't really need the joysticks, but it's cool that they're there because if you are playing arcade games, you can end up using the joysticks. I'm not a huge fan of the D-pad, but it's actually worn me down and I've actually started to like it. That's my only tiny gripe, is that I wish that it had a regular D-pad, but it actually works. And I was actually able to pull off some Hadoukens, so take that with what you will. Number 2, this device did not launch in 2024. The rest of these did, and the difference is that I just obtained one of these a few months ago. You already know. You already know what it is. It's the Steam Deck. It's my friend. This is my friend, the Steam Deck. I love this thing so much, I can't even explain to you how cool this thing is. Now, I didn't put it as number 1 because it didn't come out in 2024. I feel like, I'm talking about a tiny bit of an older device, but everybody's still talking about the Steam Deck because it's the Steam Deck. The other thing is that I didn't want to put number 1 as being something that's, costs around $400. Granted, you can probably get a refurbished one from Valve, or you can get, their base model on sale because they do have a couple sales going on throughout the year. I don't typically, being a super busy parent, I don't have a lot of time ever to do anything. So I rely on, not only do I love these retro handhelds and them being portable because I can just grab them and go and keep them with me. It's just nice to be able to actually game on something that I don't have to sit in front of my PC to do this. So I have gone through and purchased so many more Steam games. You're welcome, Valve, because you've gotten hundreds of dollars of my money by now. But I've finished games. I don't typically finish games, and I've actually been able to finish games that are not retro handhelds or not retro games that have come out 30 plus years ago. And it's really nice. It's really nice to be able to play some cool current titles. So if you are in the market or thinking about this thing is definitely worth its money. And I love you. I love your Steam Deck. I love the Steam Deck. Now, if you're keeping track, you probably already know what the number 1 device is for me. And it might be actually, a lot of people have been talking about this. I've done quite a few reviews, quite a few videos on this device because it's just amazing. I used to not want to say this because I didn't want to hurt my Mio Mini Plus's feelings, but this is the Anbernic RG35XX SP. This thing is amazing, and it has now, unfortunately, for the Mio Mini Plus, I do take it from time to time, but this has been my go-to for running errands if I'm out, running errands for the day, if I'm going and picking up my kids, if I'm stuck somewhere. This thing is always with me. Lately, in the past, I'd say month, this thing has a permanent place in my coat pocket so that I always have it with me. Especially holiday shopping, I'm out doing all sorts of things and waiting in line. Ta-da! I can play some games. This may also sound kind of silly, but I love the custom firmware options on this. Particularly MuOS has been amazing on here. You can do native Pico 8 Explorer. You can do ports. It got me back into ports, and I love it. I love you. I love this thing. This is a goofy little thing, but it's something that it's nice that it's there. With using MuOS, I can be in a game and I can just close the lid. It saves my progress and it shuts right off. I don't have to worry about powering it down. This morning, I went to the dentist's and I had to wait a little bit. So I'm sitting here, and of course this is with me. I'm jamming on it. And right when the doctor came in to see me, I closed the lid, didn't have to worry about anything. When I powered it back up a little bit later, while I was waiting, I could go right back into my game and resume my progress. So it's a nice, cool feature. The other thing is, it just shuts and I don't have to worry about a case. This thing can get banged up, bashed up. It's going to take a beating, and I don't care. I don't care about scratching the screen on it. If you were to buy one device, I mean, obviously this is completely up to you, but if this looks like it might interest you at all, this is a great device. It's fantastic. You can watch any of my other videos on it. Buttons are a little rattly up at the top, but I have one of the earlier models and didn't do the button mod, and I don't care. The only other thing that I would say, the buttons on it are a little clicky from micro switch buttons, but that's kind of worn me down, and I don't care about that either. So I'm usually a stickler for rubber membrane connections, and I want rubber membrane D-pads and buttons, and this doesn't have it, and that's okay. Oh, and I have two of them, and I might get a third because that transparent green is really, really, really calling me. So those are my top handhelds for 2024. Leave your comments below if you thought that there was something that I left out on the list that you think should be up there. What are your top devices, or your top number one device that you had in 2024? Or we can go the other way. What is the worst device that you have, handled this year? So let me know in the comments below, and definitely hit that subscribe button so that you can watch other videos that come out. Those are my thoughts, not yours. Thanks for watching. Stay awesome, everyone, and go play some games. Steve, is that an Ambernick 35XXSP in your hand?
Yes, it is. This is your other one, so I figured I'd help myself to it because you don't need two of them, and it's a great device. I love it.
We agree on something. Oh, wait.
I think you should trade me for your Steam Deck. Clearly you don't care about it as much as I thought you did, because you didn't make it number one, so you should give it to me.
No, Steve, you don't get my Steam Deck just because I didn't make it number one.
How about I get to use the Steam Deck on the weekends, and then you just forget about the blue Ambernick SP device, and this is mine.
Okay, fine. Sure. You can have the blue one.